The following is a presentation of iRacing.com motorsport simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consultant Cup Series Championship continues on through to the second race on segment number 3 and the chase for the championship. Live tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, this is the New England 150. Good evening, sim racing fans. As always, happy to have you with us on this LSRTV Sunday night, as well live on iRacing Live. Happy to be topside with you, myself, Evan Pasoko, joined as well on the mic, as well down in the production trailer tonight by Cisco Scarlett. Cisco, New Hampshire, a flat racetrack, virtually no banking at this place. If you want to get technical, we can give it a little bit of generosity and say there's 2 degrees on the bottom and 7 degrees on the outside. For all intended purposes, though, a lot of guys just refer to this as a flat track. You don't have the 20 plus degrees of banking that a lot of the intermediate racetracks have. So kind of like a Martinsville on steroids. It's just over a mile in length at 1.058 miles. But those corners, you got to be really generous getting back to the gas to navigate through them.
Absolutely, and what makes this different from a Martinsville is that because you have that kind of longer turn, you can't really use the direct bottom on the track. You kind of have to apex, use that middle line. That's really the only way you're going to be able to get through these turns properly and, put up a good lap time. You're not going to be able to use that bottom side, and the car will just get loose and spin on you.
We come into tonight, as we noted, in the position where we're now into the second race of the third segment. Again, segments 1 through 2 obviously set us up to get us into a position to obviously find out the drivers who are going to be competing for a championship, and that segment got underway 1 week ago here on LSRTV and iRacing Live from Chicagoland. Chris Schoenburg went to victory lane after he had a dominating performance, leading 90 of the 134 laps. Randall Falks, John Gorlinski, Chuck Sweeting in the top 4, Matt Busa inside of the top 5 as well. He started second, led 37 laps himself, and very easily to look at the championship standings, it's just the results from that race. So now as we look to start to tiptoe through this 10-race final segment, we'll start to be able to get a better picture of who sits where in the championship and what drivers are going to be in a position to really compete for a title. Looks like drivers right now just getting set to wrap up their 10-minute single-car qualifying session. 11 drivers so far of the 15 do have a time down.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll take a look at the qualifying grid right now. Matt Busa does have the pole right now with a 30.02. So Busa, I'm interested to see as kind of a dominance by the bow ties there, except for first. So an interesting thing, a lot of Chevys up there, but Busa, the spoiler there, Busa's been fast. He just hasn't had the consistency he's wanted in the weeks past. Hopefully he can get some of that tonight.
We talk more about this racetrack in specific, and if you tuned in 1 week ago at Chicagoland, you saw the more conventional styled race that we're used to seeing. Well, we have a couple of unique racetracks coming up as this chase works through. We'll be at Dover in 7 days' time next weekend for the Delaware 200. That's a completely different beast in and of itself, but tonight at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, talking about the field size that we see here tonight, Cisco, a lot of the time, and I guess it still rings true tonight, qualifying obviously of a great importance. The higher up you start in the field, the less cars you're going to get around to get the job done. Not a whole lot of cars on track, though, tonight. This race could easily go green start to finish, and that really does kind of change the complexion of how you have to approach the race.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a track where it pays dividends to save those tires, and it's really going to pay dividends, especially if we don't have any cautions. If you can make those tires last just a little bit longer, save those tires, your delta time over the whole race will be better off versus someone who just burns them off and takes off right at the beginning.
The qualifying session, though, has drawn to a close, and the cars are headed trackside. We take a look at tonight's ProGeek starting lineup, as always presented by ProGeek. Since 1998, ProGeek Consulting has been providing IT solutions to small and mid-sized businesses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. Their strong work ethic and attention to detail allows them to provide the best solutions for your needs, specializing in a wide range of solutions that includes infrastructure, networking, servers, storage, virtualization, security, virtual CIO, and even IT strategy. You can check them out today at www.progeek.com. I noted Matt Busa started second last week. He's on the front row again, this time on pole position with a 30.016, and they flip-flop because Chris Schoenburg tonight going to be rolling off from P2 to the top two from last week on the front row here tonight at New Hampshire. Just behind them, you'll find the number 19, Tyler Dalton, to get a start in third spot tonight. Matthew Moose, exactly where he was at practice P4, and the fastest driver in that practice session going to be to the inside of row 3. P5 is John Gorlinski.
James Wenzel starts 6th. 7th's going to go to Randall Fox in the 51. 8th is going to go to Chuck Sweeting. 9th will go to David Ankeny. And rounding out your top 10 in the Papa's Hardware Gary Mercer Trucking Chevy is EJ O'Rourke.
Final driver to take a time in qualifying, just one more position back. 11th spot to number 7, Joshua Campbell. Rest of the time is going to be made on the provisionals at the back of the pack. 12th position tonight belongs to Chad Coleman. He's the only driver who did not take a time in practice earlier tonight. Unlucky number 13 starting spot tonight belongs to Alex Bergeron. He was P3 in practice, so look for him if he does come up for the back of the pack to be some sort of a threat here tonight. JD Laird alongside in 14th, and then we have Cody Welker and John Welko on the back row, 15th and 16th position. Gonna round out the field here tonight for the ASCORS ProGeek New England 150. The field rolls down through turns 1 and 2 for the first time. Cisco, we look at the specifics at this New Hampshire Motor Speedway in this week's LSRTV Track Facts. This racetrack's been around since 1990. It hosts NASCAR Sprint Cup, Xfinity, and Camping World Truck Series action. An asphalt and granite surface is what makes it so unique. Just a switch over a mile in length. Variable banking, though, at 2 to 7 degrees at a 12% grade is going to have these guys kind of searching around for the best line.
Searching around, and it's going to make it hard to pass here. Of course, we can all think back to 2014, the Morgan Shepherd Joey Logano incident. That was a lap car where that happened. But this track, although it seems pretty wide, it's the groove you use is going to be super narrow. And a report from Pit Road, the 12 is not going to be able to make it to the grid, having connection problems.
Going to be a tough break. I just noted that Alex Bergeron was looking good in a practice session. It's one less bullet that a couple of these guys are going to have to dodge. Nonetheless, the pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down to the way this time. It'll be good set to go racing. We're happy to have you with us at LSRTV and iRacing Live. Across the start-finish line and American Ethanol green flag waves for Matt Busa. He's off to turn 1 for the first time tonight and underway in the New England 150. Top 2 single file side-by-side for third as Matthew Moose tries to mount the charge to the outside of Tyler Dalton. He'll make it 2 wide, 2 rows deep off the corner.
Absolutely, and they're going to have to use the apex to swing out of the corner to get that speed. The 14 gets a great run down to 3. He's going to clear the 19 at Dalton. Now side by side, the 42 of Wenzel up on the top side. Going to try and get the run off. Not going to happen, though. They're going to be side by side coming out the corner. No, Wenzel going to try and get to the outside of Dalton, but now Gorlinski going to strike and jump to the inside. He might try and get 2 in one corner.
If he can get that spot, pushes up a little bit. It almost took away the line for number 19, but he's able to kind of wind it back up. Quarter exit is where the guys at the top should be their best. A little bit of a bobble for Gorlinski that time, but he inside a little bit out of shape. Nonetheless, though, he is going to be clear by the time they get to the center at 3 and 4, and he's going to be able to now get that spot and maintain his position in front of Tyler Dalton at a battle, I believe, as they come across the start-finish on it for what was going to be 4th and 5th on the racetrack. Just behind them, a little bit of side-by-side as well. Randall Fox, James Wenzel were duking it out for 6th and 7th. They've swapped places from where they started, with Fox now in front of the 42.
41 is around in the back. Caution going to fly right there. We'll have to take a look at the replay to see what happened, Evan, but maybe some help. I couldn't tell, but either way, he lost it out of 2.
I know 2 laps ago, we had seen that 21 of Gorlinski get sideways coming off of the corner, and I think the 41 machine had a little bit of help. You look at it tightly, and it doesn't look like there was any contact from the 20, but I think the 41 definitely reacted as if it took a shot, but it looks like EJ O'Rourke Cisco just got really sideways off of the corner. He was really working on that wheel as he dove back to the inside, and he was just unable to hang on to it. That car went all the way around when he was up on track, so the yellow flag comes out. He did take a little bit of a lick to the inside fence, not that bad. He'll take the tow truck back to pit road.
Yeah, and a very tough break for the 41 right there. Hopefully they'll be able to get that car repaired and back out there. But regardless, just not what you want to see this early on. But leader, split decision on pit road. 4 cars going to stay out. Everyone else back down.
Some of the guys also split in between the commitment code and the pit road wall, changing their mind at the last second.
You allowed to do
drivers
that?
who are headed, yeah, I mean, we've seen them do it before. The cone was okay, and as long as you don't drive into the pit road wall, which is something we've also seen here at New Hampshire, you're good. So Matthew Moose is the first driver out of the pit lane. Everybody else going to come down pit road behind him from a little bit deeper in the running order. And being this early into the race, I don't really see that big of a benefit of taking just 2 tires. So looks like most drivers are going to go with 4 tires and gas. Chuck Sweeting's number 26 Chevrolet does go with right sides only. It'll give him a little bit of track position, but we will now kind of find out how important tires are. They really only win about 3-4 laps that time around. So the guys up front, I would have to think, should be in a rather good position. We'll just have to find out, though, once they go back into green flag conditions. Basically a 50-50 split, as you noted.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be interesting here. We saw Busa and Sherburne kind of pull away from the field. Gorlinski, though, he was passing cars left, right, and center. So I think he's going to be a little worse off when it comes to tires. We'll have to see. But either way, that car was fast nonetheless, but he's got to be careful not to burn up those tires too quickly and hurt that overall time.
Light still on top of the pace car this time around. They get a single file things back out and look to get them doubled up the next time by EJ O'Rourke, who was involved, and the only driver technically involved in the opening caution flag of this race. As we saw, he went all the way around, triggered the yellow, and then did damage that car by going left side first into the inside of retaining wall. His night is going to be done early for the evening. He's behind the fence, and his night is done, so 13 cars going to remain on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a tough break for the 41 there. He was looking to have a good run, but either way, we'll jump back up to the lead. And Tyler Dalton is up in 4th right now. This has kind of been the MO of Tyler Dalton. He'll just kind of lurk in the top 5. He won't really go out for the lead nonetheless for a lot of the time, but he'll just kind of lurk around the top 5, top 10, just kind of hanging out. And he's done a very good job of it all season, once again doing it here tonight.
A lot of guys who, as we noted, a couple of discrepancies as far as guys who were rather good in practice, not necessarily the times they wanted in qualifying. Not what we normally see to said extent. You only have one driver right now, and it's James Wenzel, who started 10th. So if you're talking about single-digit running positions, to make it easy, the drivers who were top 10 in practice are all on the top 9 on the racetrack right now, all with the exception, as we noted, of Alex Bergeron, who was not able to take the green flag due to some connection issues. So looks like the fast cars are fast, and the guys that tend to have a little bit of issues here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway are a little bit deeper in the pack and working on them. The great equalizer for those drivers would be a long green flag run, multiple cycles of green flag pit stops. That would give them their best chance to challenge the guys who can go out there and put down one good lap and make it look nice and pretty on the board. We won't really know who has the best car in the long run until we work all the way through a cycle of service. Pace car going to duck back down and away. Those 7 laps going to be complete this time by pole sitter Matt Busa back in control, and we're back underway.
A great pull from Busa there on the hole shot. Going to get to the inside first. He's going to get a great run into one there. Gorlinski, meanwhile, is going to be side by side with Dalton. The 26 right behind him gives a little bit of shot. Do we see 3 wide? No, not this time. Moose thinks better of it. Going to drop in behind the 19. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. For about 4 rows deep there as they head down to turn 3. Dalton's going to try and clear. Gorlinski went a little bit too high right there. And Gorlinski's going to have the drive off there. And Sweeting had to get out of it behind as well, as it's just a cluster right there in the middle of the pack.
And the 21's been busy on the 2 restarts we've seen tonight. He's ended up, though, +2, started 5th and 3rd at the moment, side by side for 4th behind. And at 14, Matthew Moose on the move. He clears the 19 to Dalton topside, and he'll bring it right to Gorlinski, and to make that a side-by-side fight for 3 now, down into turn number 3.
Yeah, and then Gorlinski is going to be stuck on that high side. A little bit of a close battle there, not really a whole lot of pinching going on. I thought Gorlinski might force the 14 down, but he's still able to get a great run through the corner. We're still watching Dalton side by side with Fox. He's now going to let him go. A little bit of contact there with the 51. He's going to slide up the track a little bit and fall into the clutches of Wenzel in the 42.
Single file and things out, though, as this battle continues on. What it is allowed is for the guys up at the front of the field to pull away. The 34 of Matt Busa, 36 of Chris Shearburn, 1-2, both 1 second in front of third-place runner John Gorlinski. About 3 car lengths that time, but at turn number 4 between the back bumper of Busa, the front nose of Chris Shearburn. They were actually a lot tighter than that in that opening run of this race. Again, just about 4 laps before we got that first caution flag, so we really didn't get an opportunity to take a peek back up front and check in with them because we were watching all of the 2 and 3 wide back of the pack, but that was only about a half a car length advantage for the 34 at that point. So he's not really getting away from Shearburn, but he did get a good restart and has him a little bit further in front this time.
Yeah, and Busa, I think, is just on cruise control at this point. All he has to do is hit his marks, 139 rather, laps to go here. So long way to go. It's time to just settle in and cruise for a while.
12 laps going to be complete the next time by 34 back down the back straightaway of 150 on the night. These guys rated about the 30-second mark when it comes to lap times. Again, qualifying, nobody was able to sneak down below that 30 in Q. It was a 30.016 for Busa that got him pole position. However, in practice, we saw John Gorlinski with a 29.589. It would be quite impressive if somebody else is able to pull that off during race trim.
Problems, Gorlinski. He's around. A little bit of help there. Caution back out. And I believe he got a little bit of an assist there from the 14.
In the 14 machine of Matthew Boots, who started in 4th position, in fact was 4th in practice, was running in 4th at the time. Looked like the 21, though, Cisco overshot the corner, and I mean, for 13 laps into the race, you would like to have thought that the 14 Chevrolet could have kept it out of the bumper, but 21 pushes up, the 14 and the 51 are coming through, and he just drove right into the left rear quarter panel.
Yeah, it was bumper cars there. The 14 got bounced up as well from the 51, so a little bit of front and rear end damage for that car. Gorlinski, though, spins it back around, gets it back going here, so he's probably going to come back to pit road. I would assume those 3 will, and probably anyone else who wants tires at this point.
Yeah, and now we will see if the drivers who stayed out, we would assume that they'll be headed pit side. Curious to see, though, if the guys who came down the first time will now try to stay out on the racetrack and therefore put themselves in a position where they can make up time. Doesn't look like that. That pit stop at lap number 5 is going to help them much at all because everybody going to be coming down this time, lap number 14.
And I don't think the guys who came down pit road to get forward terribly happy to see this caution because it basically throws all that strategy out the window. Everyone going to come down, though. The 51, I would assume they're going to beat out the quarter panel there, get that car back going. The 21 doesn't look too bad. He might be able to just soldier on with that damage nonetheless. It's only kind of rear end damage. You don't have to worry too much about the arrow here. The left side's going up on Busa. He's gone. Sherburn's gone. It's going to be a battle for third. Nope. Dalton. And then a little bit of a battle there. Wenzel with a great stop there at 13.9. That's a great stop right there. Able to get in front of the 30 of Ankeny, who came out with about a second difference on pit stop there.
Wenzel came down pit road in 4th, or rather came down pit road in 6th, and he will exit pit lane in 4th. A good pickup under the caution flag. No challenge yet for Matt Busa. He's your race leader through 2 early caution flags at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We'll take this opportunity, step aside, to be back for the restart in the New England 150. You're watching the ASCORS ProGeek Consulted Cup Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Once its sights are set, nothing can stop the ferocious lion from capturing its prey. Relying on keen senses, lions search patiently before striking with alarming speed. Wait for it. Gotcha, Mr. Piece of Rubbish. He is truly the master of his environment. Do good, be a lion.
Lights back off on top of the pace car. We'll double to back up once again. Matt Busa for the first time tonight. Going to go to the outside of the racetrack, third time though on the evening, and bring us back up to speed at a quarter number 4. American Ethanol green flag flies back underway. You saw the 36 of Schoenburg. Try to guesstimate when that 34 was going to go. Busa held it back a little bit deeper into the restart box, and he's got a 2-car length advantage through quarters number 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's a great kind of 3-car breakaway there as they're going to be side by side between Dalton and I believe that's the 26 of Sweeting. Sweeting going to drop in behind the 19, but it's a cluster back there between the 7, the 30, and the 21. They're going to try and sort it out, but it's 2 by 2 by 2 back there, and 20 got loose. Coleman, he's going to hold on to it. Pit wall. Oh, man, that hurts. And, yeah, he's going to spin it back around. No caution, but ouch.
Yeah, tough break. You go down to the inside of the racetrack in a lot of places of this racetrack, and you're going to be down below the racing groove. He did hit that
25
fence, though,
now.
Yeah, we talked about it when they were actually coming down for service, that somebody could end up at the pit road wall. That's what we saw earlier. And then again, that time at a turn number 2 for Cody Welker to go around. So we talked about the lack of banking here. You got to be really sparse with getting on the gas. Not hard to loop that thing around.
Yeah, and I have no idea how there wasn't a caution for either of those. I believe the 25 was just because he wasn't on either the road course or the oval. But I don't know how the 20 wasn't a caution. I mean, considering he was blocking pit road there, that's usually a caution in the sim, but I guess not here. Either way, battle between the 21 and the 30 we're watching right now. Gorlinski on the outside trying to keep Ankeny down there, but Ankeny just keeps getting a good run. Not really a hole for him to get. He's going to try there. Not going to happen. They're going to be side by side as they head back to 1.
Battle for position going to continue off to the quarter. The 30 of Ankeny on the inside. We saw this earlier up front. Not only try to complete a pass, but you try to get up to the next guy. There's going to be contact, though. Campbell going to spin at a turn number 2. He'll slide back up the hill, bring it back down and around. No caution, and now it's out.
Yeah, and that was a case where if he could have gotten it back going before Wilco got to him, there wouldn't have been a caution, but Wilco got there, and sure enough, caution comes out. But another caution here, and just some hard racing there just went awry.
We saw, and as I was saying, we see a lot of the time somebody complete a pass at the inside on one driver, try to immediately translate that to get back to the inside of the 7, and I don't think Ankeny really was there. And not that, you know, I mean, the 7 you could argue was too low at a racetrack, or he thought it was going to be higher up, but I think that trying to get up next to the 7, or even maybe trying to slip in line in between those two cars, just wasn't there. He did get, to be fair, Cisco, a tap on the right rear quarter panel from the 21 just before he got into the 7. So that may have led to what happened there, but the caution flag does eventually come out. About 3 drivers total get some sort of damage in that one, and we're back down pit road for more Goodyear Eagles.
And Evan, you have to think, we still have 130 laps to go. I mean, you knew Ankeny was going to have to come off the bottom a little bit there. Why not give him some room?
Trying to protect the outside at turn number 2.
I
Talking
guess.
about, we said only 2 to 7 degrees of banking, so you don't think the outside's that critical to getting a run off for the quarter. But these guys obviously want to try to protect where they run, because if you get pinned on the outside, if that guy gets to the inside of you, you get stuck up top, lose a handful of spots. Race leaders down pit road this time. First driver out on 4 tires, going to be the 34 of Matt Busa, but in front of him, the 21 of John Gorlinski. Right sides only, going to put him from P7, I believe, to the race lead.
And Gorlinski, they're an interesting call. I like it. I think we didn't really have too many laps there, so I said, why not? But either way, it looks like 2 cars stayed out, the 19 of Dalton. Then I have to see, yes, the 20 is still scored on the lead lap after that accident with the pit wall. I have no idea how he's still going, because that was a huge hit. He's going to head to pit road right now. But yeah, Coleman just a tough break here. And this narrow front straightaway, Evan, I mean, well, let's open up the NASCAR history books a little bit. This is what kind of caused the green-white check or the rules to get changed so they wouldn't race back to the caution. We had a wreck here. I think it was 2003. Dale Jarrett got spun around on the front straightaway. Cars were whizzing past him here. It's a narrow front straightaway. Whether the track looks wide once you're looking at the corners, but that front straightaway, it's way more narrow than the rest of the track. And ultimately, because Jarrett was saying, I believe he was before the start-finish line, so everyone was racing back. He was sitting backwards on the front straightaway. That's ultimately what brought out got rid of the race back to the caution rule. But that front straightaway, as I'm trying to make my point here and it's not working, let's try again. It's so narrow, you get forced down the inside there, your car just gets loose, and at that point you're just along for the ride.
We're going to get a look at all the variety of the strategy this restart coming on by. I believe the lights are going to go off this time by, and not expecting a 19 to Tyler Dalton to be headed pit side, otherwise he would have had to go down that time. So we are going to see the 19 Chevrolet, who stayed out on no tires, be the control car for this restart. John Gorlinski came down pit road, 2 tires, only going to be in second. Then you'll find Matt Busa in third on 4 tires. So if you're looking for a very clean-cut look at just how important tires are, we're going to find out right now. This is going to be the first restart Cisco, though, where that 34 of Busa is not in control.
And I think that's going to be interesting here, because is he going to try and make it 3 wide? I don't think we'll see that much aggression out of Busa, but I got to think Gorlinski's going to do everything he can to get to that lead, and especially with the 2 tires, Dalton's going to be at a disadvantage up on that high side.
We'll see if the 19 can get the run on the top side. Again, the 34 Abusa just like to the inside the first 2 times. He used the top, though, the last time through, and it was clear by the time he got down to turn number 1. John Gorlinski, if he wants the challenge for the race lead, got to stick it on to the bottom by the time to get down to 1. But a good jump from the control car, going to send Tyler Dalton way out in front to turn 1, back under green flag conditions. Single file 1, 2, and 3 with Schoenburg up to 3rd.
Ooh.
He drives it in hard. Busa with a little bit of a bobble as he battles for 4th with a 51 of Randall Falks.
And it was a great save by Busa there as they head down the back straightaway. Busa, I think, should just drop in behind the 51 and cruise here, but no, he's going to dive to the inside there. The 51 a little high. Can he get the drive off? We'll have to see. It's kind of neck and neck there as they come out of turn 3. Meanwhile, Gorlinski gets past Dalton. That's going to be a lead change at the line.
The 2 tires going to put the 21 to the point, and now we wait and see what Chris Schoenburg can do. Was on the outside of row number 2 for the restart. He was the 2nd driver in line on 4 tires from the trip down to the pit lane. He's now up and around the number 19. Here comes the 50 with Randall Falks up and around the 19 on the inside. So Matt Busa, who I thought would have been in a great position, Cisco inside of row 2, is struggling to get by the 19. Now he has, but he's the 3rd driver on 4 tires to do so. He's got work to do.
And the 19 got on the outside wall just a tad there. It slowed him down a little bit. I don't think you can even see the damage, but there was definitely a slowdown there. I don't know if he got on the wall or what happened, but I had to get out of the gas nonetheless, and that'll put him back all the way. Those old tires not helping the 19 at all right now.
51 now to the outside of the racetrack, kind of straddles that lawn. Talking about the track conditions here. right between the asphalt and the granite surfaces. He's able to pull out of 4. It's going to be Busa at the line, though, with the advantage in the battle for 3rd position. On the inside, I would imagine he should be able to get it clear this time, but a 2 if he gets a good run. The 51 going to squeeze him now. No bobble on a turn 2. He's in the fence just a little bit. Talking about Cisco earlier in this race, even for this spot, the 34 is clear now, but Randall Fox had no intention of just letting Busa go.
Yeah, and that's the definition of driving it too hard for the position there. Just got a little bit loose coming out of the corner, and that's all she rode up in the outside wall. He's going to drop in behind the Gale Force Sim Racing car. And at this point, Busa, he's got the 4 tires, but so does Sherburne, and Sherburne's now gotten ahead of him. We saw those two together, but after the pit stop, Sherburne is up battling for that lead right now. That's going to be battles we're watching from the 34. Going to jump up to the lead battle now. Sherburne's probably going to have the advantage if he could just save those tires, but Gorlinski, we know he's an aggressive driver. He's going to do everything he can to hold that lead.
The only difference between these two cars is the 21's got old left side tires, and he gets up into the fence down the straightaway, and I think kind of half-heartedly let that 36 of Chris Sherburne go when it went down to turn number 1. And Sherburne, for the first time tonight, the driver who started in 2nd position, is out in front looking to lead lap number 31 as he starts to stretch that gap out in 3 and 4.
Yeah, and Sherburne is doing a great job. If he could just run away from the field now, he should be good at least until they hit pit stops. The 34, of course, is going to have to get around the 21. That was a huge disadvantage after that pit stops. We know the 34 and the 36, they're basically even. I mean, they couldn't get away from each other in those first 2 runs. And at this point, Busa's, now he's got to get around the 21 and catch back up to the 36. It's going to be a long road to hoe for that 34.
He's doing work, though. Was back to, I think, at one point 5th position after restarting in 3rd. Has been able to get back at around Randall Fox. The next objective, get John Gorlinski. I think that if we stay green for no more than, I think, 5 laps at least, he'll be able to get to the 21. He's closing the gap in rather quickly. It was just 0.3 of a second the last time by. Executed the move might be a little bit of a challenge that he'll have to face, but he has a better car than the 21 machine, and as well, he's got the tire advantage. Once he gets around John Gorlinski, and again, this is hypothetically speaking, kind of, assuming that he's able to get the job done, not to take anything away from what the 21 Chevrolet's been able to do so far on 2 tires, maintaining that 2nd spot so far. But once he gets by, he's going to have used up a lot more of those tires, Cisco, trying to get around 4 drivers off of the restart in comparison to Chris Sherburne, and that's where that 34 might get stuck in a battle between 1 and 2 if he gets there.
Yeah, that or he's going to drift it off too like he just did. I don't know how he's still got the run on the 21. A beautiful dive coming out at 2 there. He's going to get the run into 3. I don't think he'll clear him there, though. The 21's going to have the run as they come out of 4 there. Nothing you can do. That's just momentum right there. Busa, though, right up to the rear quarter of Gorlinski. I think he's going to try and push him a little bit high as they head down to 1. Nope, he'll take the wide in, or the low inside there. Going to try and apex the corner.
High side, gonna wind it up, trying to bring it back around. And got to the gas a little bit too early. Busa neck and neck and side by side for the number 2 spot. Down the back straightaway they go. Matt Busa trying desperately to get clear on the 21 of John Gorlinski to get that number 2 spot. Gonna be close this time, but a turn number 4, not enough. Should get it in 1 and 2.
Yeah, he wasn't quite able to clear just an inch about of the 21 that was still up there. But either way, this battling has allowed Randall Fox. I saw him kind of weave a little bit coming out of 4 a couple laps ago, but this battling's allowed him to catch up, and it's also allowed Sherburne to pull away.
51 machine joining the battle as well, and the longer it continues, more parties going to be involved. But finally that time, with 36 laps now behind us, Matt Busa has been able to make the charge back up to 2nd spot. And he's back where he feels that he should be, and that's around the drivers who made the strategy call. But again, he's no longer leading the 4-tire charge. All of that time it took him to get around the 20 with Gorlinski cost him about a second in comparison to where he was in relation to the 36 when he got up to that 21 about 5 laps ago. That gap now 1.5 seconds. 34's got nobody in between him and your race leader, Chris Sherburne, so we'll get a good head-to-head look now at who's better. Busa was a 10th quicker the last time by. We'll see if that trend keeps up. If it does, good news for the 34 machine, and Chris Schoenburg might have to do a little bit of searching to figure out what he can do. But again, Schoenburg not kind of discredited. Again, it's kind of funny because you look at the numbers between Busa and Gorlinski. Busa was 5th in practice but qualified on pole. Gorlinski was fastest in practice but qualified 5th. Chris Schoenburg has been a second fastest car all night long. Second in practice, second in qualifying. There's kind of that little bit of him, Cisco, that I'm sure doesn't want to finish second in the race again. But you have to know that even when you see that guy coming up from behind you and close it in, don't start pushing the car, because you get rid of the tires, it'll really start to go downhill.
Yeah, and well, at this point, they're about even right now. A little bit of fluctuation obviously will happen, but it's going to be a while. I think if they could stay green, Busa might be able to catch him on the long run, but he's going to need the long run to do it. Absolutely right now, Sherburne's got the pace on him.
12 drivers right now still scored on the lead lap. We've talked about a couple of the guys that have had issues so far here tonight. J.D. Laird is 15th position, 38 laps down. E.J. O'Rourke, 14th, 37 laps back. Cody Welker is 13th and 14 laps back. I believe at least O'Rourke and Welker, their nights are done. They are behind the wall. J.D. Laird's car is on pit road. But at this point, for all intent and purposes, the Valvoline Toyota's night is done as well. So you got 12 drivers at the moment scored on the lead lap. It does look like Boost is going to be quicker than Shearer, but it's only maybe 4 or 5 hundredths of a second every single time around. There are some other battles on the racetrack. A three-way fight right now behind John Gorlinski. Randall Falks just got around him for the third spot, the 51, and now Gorlinski has Matthew Boost and James Wenzel all over the Declan.
Yeah, and Wenzel, I saw this battle kind of brewing a little bit there. Wenzel gets a little bit of loose out of 2s. We're on board with the 42. Got a good look at ahead, but look at the damage on the 14. That's left over from that incident earlier on. But either way, not really affecting the 14 too much. So we can tell the aero really isn't that big of a factor here, and he's keeping up with the 21. This is going to be an interesting battle. I think the 42, he just needs to chill back here and wait for those two to start mixing it up. Then you can make your move.
Seeing if the 14 or the 42 are able to make the move. I believe both Moose and Wenzel, when we came down pit road the last time, were the recipients of 4 fresh tires as well. So just kind of the course of action as the drivers who played the strategy game kind of fall back. The 19 of Tyler Dalton in the Haviland Chevrolet, the one who stayed out and actually brought us back to the green flag. He's now 6 seconds off of the top spot, back in 7th. He's dealing right now with Chuck Sweetie, who's a couple of car lengths off the back bumper in 8th spot. But I think that the moral of the story is just go even that the run prior to this was only 4 laps or so. 4 tires, the name of the game for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll jump back to take a look at that lead battle, and it started to close. I know I said Busa was going to have to need a long run. It's working right now. He's closed it up to about 3/4 of a second right now, and closing up more and more as the run goes on. We take a look at the times. Last time by, it wasn't that big of a difference, but you could tell, you could just see on the track, I think the 34 is just getting through the corners a little bit better than that 36.
Well, it's flat track. We've said it and we'll continue to say it. That's the sole characteristic of New Hampshire. It's why a lot of guys love this track, because they love these very flat racetracks. And hesitant to call it a short track because, again, it is just a little bit over a mile in length at 1.058 miles, but it very much so races like a short track. That's why a lot of people kind of refer to it as a Martinsville on steroids, just a lot bigger. But, I mean, you look at the race tonight, 150 laps on the board. By the time all is said and done, you'll be at just 159 miles total distance start to finish tonight. That's a long way to go. That's why, and we saw it happen, I believe, 2 runs ago when the battle for the race lead was handed off peacefully, that the concern should be at this juncture, keep the race car clean. Matt Busa, he's knocked a second at a Chris Sherburn's gap. It's 5/10 if you're the 36. Don't start pushing it. Don't put yourself in defense. Keep the car clean. Let him go if he gets to you. Drop back to second. Run your race and try to win it on strategy maybe.
Yeah, and we'll have to see here. Obviously, once we got to the green flag there, it looks like it's going to stay green flag. We're looking around. The closest battle, we'll keep an eye on that Sweeting battle between him and Dalton. But apart from that, well, I guess the 14 and the 42 are close together, but we aren't seeing those big packs we saw earlier on in the race that were causing some of the incidents. We usually see about 2 cars that have kind of accordion together. You're not going to see those big packs. You won't have to worry about those big packs causing an accident, hopefully. So at this point, you got to start run the numbers, figuring out, okay, this is where I am on fuel. This is when I got to pit. And also, you got to take into account fresh tires are huge here at this flat track. If you pit early, you might be able to gain something, but you can't pit too early because you'll run out of gas.
Yeah, pit stops going to be coming up very shortly. In fact, once we complete 2 more times around, we'll be at 1/3 distance here tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. 50 laps going to be complete in just about, well, you look at that 30-second lap times. Give us 45 seconds. We'll be at 1/3 distance here tonight so far. Still lap times, we're beginning to see the tire fall off come into play as this battle for the race lead is about to be on. 31-1 the last time for Schoenburg. Boost is still a little bit quicker at a 31-104. Schoenburg closer to a 1-2 the last time by, and in fact this time he goes 31.24. So you're looking at right now just a little bit over a second to fall off. There's some tracks where we see more, no doubt, upwards of 3 seconds, but we are very clearly on the longest green flag stretch so far of the evening, and the tire fall off, while not terrible, is definitely proved 4 tires is the way to go. Both these guys up front, again, we were talking about 2 tires versus 4 tires versus none. Both these drivers took 4 tires the last time they were down pit road, so right now, Busa, I think, behind the wheel is what's making a difference.
And I think also we're not seeing the tire fall off because these guys aren't side by side. Once you get to a track like this, or even a track like Martinsville or Dover, kind of in a way, the tire fall off, you don't really see it when everyone's running single file. You see it when these guys go side by side. If you've trashed the tires, you're not going to be able to get that bottom line to work. The only way you'll, I think, be able to do anything is up on that outside, hopefully with momentum on your side. But even then, if someone has fresher tires than you or is taking better care of them, there's not really a whole lot you can do on this track.
Still 10 seconds in front of your race leaders is the 12th place driver, John Wilco. He's actually 20 seconds back right now, but still 10 seconds around a lap. But to be good as far as having to worry about getting lapped, he's about at the start-finish line as your race leaders head to the center with turns 3 and 4. So lap traffic may be an issue as the race goes on. It is a relatively wide, though, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. As long as the lap traffic's paying attention, maybe you got your spotter tapping his on the shoulder and letting him know, hey, the guys up front are starting to catch up to you at the back end. Shouldn't really be any reason for the lap machines to get in the way of your race leaders. And as well as we noted, only 12 drivers actively on the racetrack right now. That shouldn't either be any more difficult for these guys to really have to deal with prolonged interference and big groups of lap traffic, but it is something just to note for curiosity to see if that does at all play a factor in this one. I'll tell you what, though, that time at a turn 4, Cisco Matt Busa, I mean, within maybe 2 inches of the outside fence. The 34 is not taking it easy on the 36. He wants to get this pass done.
And at this point, they have a big enough gap here where Busa can afford to kind of play a little bit with the 36, figure out where the good line's going to be to pass here. Keep in mind, Evan, you know, you got to think Busa's thinking ahead to Tuesday as well. What can work for me on old tires when I can pass? Because you don't really get situations like this. You know, obviously when you're racing, the more race experience you have, the more you'll be able to use it for a race coming up. This has got to be perfect exposure for the 34 coming up on Tuesday.
Side by side they go for the race lead. The 34 Abusa on the inside of the racetrack. A little bit sideways that time coming off at a quarter as he tries to slice his way to the inside. That 36 of Chris Schoenburg really, though, squeezed himself in between that 34 on the inside and as well the outside wall to keep it up there, and a successful defense of the race lead that time.
Yeah, and a great job by the 36 to do so. We'll right on board off the back bumper of the 36 right now so we can see what Busa's doing. He's using that bottom line a little bit. He'll get a good run into the corner, but I think ultimately because Schoenburg's up there, he's going to have momentum coming out of the corner. Busa's going to undercut him somehow or force him out of that groove so he won't be able to get the good run out of the corner. Then, only then, I think Schoenburg might have a chance. Or Busa, rather.
Just going to follow the back bumper now. Again, kind of the same thing when he caught up to at-time second-place runner John Gorlinski, who, by the way, There's 1 lap down right now at lap number 56. He was on pit road at lap number 53 for green flag service. So a short pit strategy is what John Gorlinski has gone to try to find himself an upper hand in this race. But that's the same issue we saw when Busa got to him. Took him about 5 laps to complete the pass. Cost him a second to Schoenburg, who was out in front. He went from about half a second in front to 1.6 at one point. So we knew that Busa wasn't just going to catch up to the 36 and get around him unless Chris Schoenburg did, which I advised him to do, really, which was just let the 34 go. But right now, again, not really racing each other that hard. They're really tight coming off of the corners, and the 36 a little bit high that time. Thought he might have given it up. He battles back on the top side one more time. Why not go side by side? If Gorlinski coming down pit road is any indication that pit stops aren't all that far away, I don't really think the 36 has much to lose from battling the 34. He wants to keep that interval between the two as tight as possible when they actually do come down in pit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's on that high side, he can afford to do it. 34 is using more tire than the 36, I believe. I think up there he's able to... I don't think he'll have to... Gorlinski... Yeah, he is going to try and make it 3 wide. He's going to go down. He's going to use the yellow line there. I don't know if you're allowed to do that, but either way, Gorlinski just did it. What a pass from the 21. Not going to complete it, though, side by side, and that's going to hurt Busa there. Busa's going to have to slide up the track. Gorlinski, he's gone, but now Schoenburg has the lead again.
Yeah, he got the 36 machine back up and around on the 3 wide cutting for the race lead. The 21 was 1 lap down after his service here at New Hampshire. Just like basically every other track, you come down to pit road under green flag conditions, you lose a little bit more than 1 lap. This time, though, it's going to be the time it sticks for Matt Busa to the race lead at lap number 60. He was just 6/100ths of a second behind when they were side by side at the start-finish line the last time by. Over your pole sitter, 60 laps in, is going to be back up to the front of the field for the first time since that caution flag almost 30 laps ago.
And at this point, I'd say Schoenburg's best bet to get that lead back, break out the calculator, figure out when you got to pit, earliest you can pit. You got to get on pit road. You got to out-strategize that 34. Get down there first or else you're going to be in trouble.
30 seconds back, John Gorlinski back to the lead lap. Good news for him if a caution flag were to come out is that he wouldn't have to obviously Fox. His night, though, is done. He brought it down to the pit lane, and after getting that machine service, pulled it in behind the wall. So Randall Fox's night is done. Matthew Moose now good to go 1 lap down from 14th position. He was just pit side, and therefore being the only driver 1 lap down at the moment, has no competition for the lucky dog position. If we are to see, and we assume now, as the pit road action begins to increase, a couple more guys get down 1 lap. That's always the tricky part if the yellow flag flies in the cycle of service. But Busa, Schoenburg, 1-2 on a racetrack right now. James Wenzel in 3rd. Don't forget about the 42 Chevrolet Cisco, but 8 seconds back, and I think in all honesty, in no way part of the battle for the race lead now, though in 3rd, the guys up front at least still refrain from coming down pit road through 63 laps.
Yeah, there's got to be some strategy on the table here. The 34, the 36, and the 42 are thinking here. Otherwise, they would have hit pit road already, or maybe those other guys just hit pit road a little bit too soon, though. You got to get to pit road, though, soon if you're going to be able... I got to think that pit window's coming up soon. You want to get the fresh tires before your opponent, then you're going to have the advantage. So at this point, I'd say, how long do you stay out there? Do you try and finish out the fuel load, or maybe do you try and cut it a little bit short to gain the advantage and maybe save later?
Do we also see somebody kind of alter their strategy? If you're a Chris Schoenburg, kind of like I think what John Gorlinski did, who is, by the way, past John Wilco for 8th on the racetrack. Gorlinski, again, as we noted, got fresh tires a couple laps ago. Maybe Gorlinski didn't initially want to come down pit road that early. But again, strategy call on the pit lane, took 2 tires, went up front, saw that he was losing a lot of time on the 2, took the audible route and kind of changed up the strategy and mixed it up. Do we see something like that at a Chris Schoenburg? Because he is losing a lot of time very quickly to Chris Schoenburg for Matt Busa up to the front of the field. That's now 1 second back, that 36 Chevrolet, and Busa only got around him maybe 5 laps ago.
Yeah, I'm thinking the 30, yep, he's going to do it right now. He's going to hit pit road. Schoenburg, yep, he's good at the line there. You see the 14 go by. He's a lap down, of course, but either way, 36 on pit road. But now you're Matt Busa. You got to hit pit road this lap.
Yeah, Schoenburg did exactly what I think he needed to do, and that was to pull the short pit card his last time around. was a 31.9. It's about a 2-second differential between fresh tires and old. Matt Bussa, every single lap he stays out, he will be giving up 2 seconds to Schoenburg. But at the 34, not phased. He's got a number that he wants to hit, and he will stay out on track as the 36 is in. Right sides, left sides, 4 tires and out.
Yeah, and the 36, we'll have to see 14 going to come around again there, but now the 36 should be able to pull away, and Moose is gone. But 34 going to stay on the track there. A little bit of a connection issue for the 14 there. I thought maybe the 36 might have to dodge him coming out of pit road there. The 14 now passed, but either way, the 34, you said he's got a number. He's got to hit it. Oh, a little bit of lap traffic there. Had to get out of the gas a little bit for Wilco there. But you think the 34 is trying to stretch it a little bit? Maybe take one pit stop, or maybe try and, get those newer tires, those new tires a little bit quicker there?
We'll see how it works out. I like the call from Schoenburg. Again, the risk that you take, same risk that John Gorlinski took, is when you pit, you go one lap down. So a yellow would be bad for the 36 right at this moment. But there's only one driver in front of him, also down one lap. He just got around to Matthew Booth. So now he's in a lucky dog position. He's going to be quicker. Now, to be fair, the advantage is going to go back in favor of Matt Bussa. Once Matt Bussa comes down pit road, and you're going to actually see, I think, coming up the back end this time around, is that entry from behind. The number 14 machine of Matthew Booth, and then the 36 of Chris Shear. But I think they're both catching up to, and you see visibly, that's about that 2-second difference per lap that I was talking about. That's why the 36 looks so much quicker right now. He has now unlapped himself. But again, 2 seconds roughly every single time around since that 34 is losing. So Bussa must have something else in mind, because if he is on the same pit strategy as the 36, if the 36 was planning to pit when he did it about lap 60 and do it on 1 more stop or 2 more stops, and Bussa was thinking the same thing, I wouldn't understand the reasoning for staying out this long. So the Gale Force Sim Racing Toyota might have a little bit of a different idea on what the race-winning strategy may be.
Yeah, I think he's going to try and maybe get the tire advantage on the back half of the run here. We'll have to see. Or he's just trying to stretch and see how good the tires last. How long can he work with it? Last lap at 31.7, his tire fall off isn't as bad as what the 36 had. Bussa's still running 31.7s with lap traffic interference. The 34, he's obviously, it's not fresh tires, laps that he would be making. But it's not exactly as slow as what we saw out of the 36 when the run was coming to an end there for him.
Only 8 drivers scored on the lead lap right now. Bussa, Campbell, Ankity, Colvin, Gorlinski, Sweeting, Shearburn, and Moose. Those 8 right now. All the way up to 5th, though, is John Gorlinski, who is already pitted. But again, 22 seconds is the deficit at the moment. Joshua Campbell in the number 7 machine has just kind of assumed P2, as it looks like nearly everybody has come down pit road. In fact, it's a good battle for second between Campbell and David Ankity. I believe neither of those cars have come down pit road.
Yeah, and at this point, these guys are going to lose a ton of time if neither of them have been on pit road. It's bad enough when you're running out there by yourself, but like I said before, where you really see the tire fall off is when you're battling someone, especially on these flat tracks. And if the 30 gets side by side with the 7, these guys are going to lose tons of time.
3 laps away from the halfway point. When we reach that moment, we'll give you a look at your iRacing Midway race break and continue to let you know how the strategy game is playing out so far here tonight. But Matt Bussa in a world of his own. He's coming out of turn number 4. Closest driver behind him, Joshua Campbell, is 3/4 of a lap behind. Almost basically 2/3 of the way through. Back 18 seconds at the moment. Bussa does have a couple of cars on the horizon, but they're all faster than him. Matthew Moose, Chris Shearburn, we just saw recently come down pit road and then unlap themselves from the 34. So Bussa in a position that I think somebody with his experience behind the wheel absolutely thrives in. Because to be honest, Cisco, 34 is probably not having a really exciting race at the moment. I mean, leading the race is fun and all, but there's nobody around him. He's by himself at a track like this also, where we even saw him driving in a little bit hard on a restart. Give up a lot of time, and it cost him 2 positions on that restart alone. Making a little bit of an error can cost you a lot at this New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So being out there all by himself, though, just kind of in his own little zone, riding every single time, taking it lap by lap by lap, is good good news for the 34, because it looks like this race is going to really go green.
Yeah, and like you said, he's going to be at the advantage once he comes down pit road. He knows that. And he's not really losing as much time. I mean, that was a 31.9. That's still what the 36 was doing when he came down pit road. So he's kind of delayed the tire fall off a little bit here, but I gotta think Busa's just padding that notebook right now, trying to feel out what the car's gonna do for later on. But either way, kind of wide arc there. No, I thought he might try and wide arc in, but no, not this time. So Busa gonna stay out another lap.
Side by side at a turn number 2, Joshua Campbell going to see the 21 of John Gorlinski, who came down pit road now almost 25 laps ago. Cisco pick up 2 spots on that lap alone and to move into the number 2 position on track.
Yeah, absolutely. Gorlinski on the alternate strategy here. We'll have to see. We kind of have 3 strategy cards going. You got the 36, and that's kind of the normal strategy. You got the 34, who's kind of doing the delayed stop, and the 21 on the inverse of that. He's got the early stop, but either way, we're past halfway. We'll have to see how this pans out in the second half of the race.
Funny how Gorlinski was able to get around Campbell and Ankeny. They were second and third. Now they're third and fourth, and they're still battling. He just kind of sidestepped around that battle, so you guys do you. I'll just take P2. But it is interesting that John Gorlinski was back at about 7th, I believe, when he came down to the pit lane. He's pitted, and he is now back out on track, up 5 positions from where he was when he came down pit road, and he's past drivers who didn't even pit. So that's how important tires are. You look at Matt Busa, who's really starting to push the tires, a 32.193 the last time around, now starting to creep over 2 seconds of tire fall off per lap.
Yeah, this is... I don't know why he's out there. I'm assuming he's going to run the tank till it's empty. He's got to be trying to maybe... Can he make it on one stop? I don't know. I think he's going to try it. If he can, he's definitely getting there in terms of laps.
We are past the halfway point tonight in the New England 150. Let's take a peek at the running order top to bottom right now with your iRacing Midway Race Break. Brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. Matt Busa out in front by 18.3 seconds, has yet to pit since a restart inside of the opening 35 laps of this race. John Gorlinski has assumed P2. Well, he started on the front row on that restart, has since dropped back to 7th, pitted, gone a lap down, and driven his way back up to the number 2 spot. He is currently one of the fastest cars on track. A good battle for third position. Chris Shearburn, Joshua Campbell, and David Ankeny, 3, 4, and 5. The 36 has just gotten in front of the 7 and the 30 a couple of laps ago. Behind them, Matthew Moose is P6, Chad Coleman 7th, James Wenzel in 8th. Rounding through all the drivers currently scored on the lead lap, and the 2 drivers 1 lap down, 9th and 10th, Tyler Dalton and Chuck Sweeting. Look top to bottom, as always, presented by iRacing. If you're looking to sign up for a first-time iRacing subscription, well, this is the time to do it. By entering our LSRTV promo code, you can type in PR-2016 LSRTV when registering for a new iRacing membership. Not only does iRacing get you ready to race the moment you sign up by giving you 13 cars and 14 tracks right away, we'll make it an even number. We'll give you 14 cars that will toss a NASCAR late model on top of all of that that's already included, absolutely free. Again, that is promo code PR-2016 LSRTV. It is valid on a new iRacing membership only, and you can get yourself the NASCAR late model free of charge. Get yourself ready to rock and roll on the short tracks of the iRacing service. 83 laps into Matt Busa, still your race leader. We'll take this opportunity to step aside. We'll go so LSRTV non-stop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. It is all the 34 Toyota, though, so far in the New England 150.
Since 2010, the highest echelon of sim racing competition has focused on NASCAR and Grand Prix racing. 50 of the best drivers in the world doing battle for championship glory. Each man for himself, and even though there may be teammates on track, each driver is in command of his own destiny. Until now. 2016 sees the start of a new era in World Championship competition, with team racing getting its chance in the spotlight. No longer can one driver rule supreme, but you must rely on those with whom you share a car, a setup, a strategy. Endurance racing can be very different to other forms of motorsports, with races in this series lasting either 3 or 6 hours. Teams of 2 or 3 drivers, perhaps on opposite sides of the world, will share seat time, each having to collectively work towards one common goal. Crash out, and it's not just you who you let down. Officially sanctioned by SRO, it will be teams of drivers who will go head to head, car to car, rival to rival in the pursuit of a championship. And there's over $25,000 in cash and prizes up for grabs. Some of the world's biggest sim racing teams are represented. There's also a group of teams who haven't seen this stage before, who want to make their mark and say we can hang with the best. The team racing revolution is here. It's loud, it's exciting, and it lives on iRacing Live, starting April 23rd.
Back live from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, taking a look at now second place runner Chris Schoenburg, the 36 Chevrolet, back up into the number 2 spot. The 21 John Gorlinski, who is in that spot, has since come down pit road, and Matt Busa just now on the pit lane. This time at a turn number 4, puts Chris Schoenburg into the race lead. And it's interesting because Schoenburg in that 36, talking about, in relation to how he was running with Matt Busa on the racetrack. Well, Gorlinski had gotten by, had already come down pit road. Now Schoenburg back out in front of this race in the number 2 position. Matt Busa on pit road. 4 tires was the name of the game. He's now back out onto the racetrack after getting his service nice and cleanly. 60 laps to go, Cisco, when he comes back out on track, and I'd be hard-pressed to say that he just about, I think, went 60 laps on that run since the last restart.
That's what I was thinking. That last caution was around lap 30, so I think Busa at this point, his strategy is set. He knows, I believe, that he can make it from here. Maybe a little bit of saving necessary, but he knows he'll be close. But either way, we see the 36 let the 21 by. 21 is on a different strategy here. I don't know. It's going to be close on the 21, considering he just came to pit road. If he stays on the same strategy as Busa, he should be good here, which means, depending on where he is here, T1 or 2 laps. Yeah, he's on the lead lap, so I believe the 36 at this point, the 36 is not in a good position because 34 doesn't have to come back down to pit road. The 21, I don't believe, has to come back down to pit road. 36 is in trouble.
He came down pit road at lap number 66. If he can make it 84 laps on fuel, somebody call up that team and find out what they've got going on in there, because based on what we've seen tonight, that does not seem to be a reasonable number. Matt Busa only 23 seconds back. I say only. He is in 6th position. I don't really see anybody right now in a position to challenge Busa. Gorlinski was the guy who was on the short pitch strategy. He's already been surpassed by the 34 once again, and Busa's making up time now. Again, it kind of goes back to the conversation, Cisco, that we were talking about 30 laps ago, being faster on the beginning of the run versus being faster on the end of the run. Well, Schoenburg pitted first. He had been making up time, but now it's a 34's turn to make up time. We assume that Matt Busa has been down pit road for the last time without a caution flag to kind of mix up the complexion of this race. Schoenburg's going to have to pit at some time, I think, no doubt. When he does, he will then have the advantage. So keep an eye to see how much time it's going to take Matt Bussa, how many laps or so it's going to take him to make up. He pitted at lap number 90 in this race. Let's see if he can catch up to Schoenburg, and how many laps that takes might give us a little bit of a rough estimate on how long Chris Schoenburg would take if he pits at that time and comes down pit road, loses the lap, and ends up about the same distance back. But in all honesty, I don't see it happening because Bussa started the pull away before any of this pit strategy broke open, and while the 34 machine, I think, without a doubt, do one-stop strategy at a place like New Hampshire Motor Speedway would be better than the two-stop, but it remains to be seen. I think it's very clear, though, that they both have very different ideas on what the strategy call should have been.
And I believe, Evan, at this point, the 36, I'm thinking if you're the 36, you know you're not going to make it. Bussa at this point is just going to be making up time. By the time you hit pit road, if you don't do it soon, Bussa's going to be too far ahead. You're just not going to make up. You know, I'm thinking about Bussa's 20 seconds back. If Schoenburg pits now, it's about a 10-second gap. If Schoenburg pits, if Bussa's 10 seconds behind him, it's a 20-second gap. And the later that Schoenburg waits, the less time he's going to be able to make up there. I think Schoenburg, if you want to win this race and you want to get the edge on Bussa, you got to pit now, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. The issue then would be, though, again, Bussa working right now with the fresher tires, but it's a lot bigger of an interval between when he came down pit road and Schoenburg did. So Schoenburg pitted at lap 66, Bussa did at lap 90. That's a 24-lap difference on tires, 24 laps fresher tires Matt Bussa has. If Schoenburg pits, he would only have 8-lap fresher tires, and I don't think he'd be making up as much time. This is the issue, though, Cisco. We can sit here and talk about it. Chris Schoenburg can't. He's got to have some number in his head while trying not to lose focus.
Yeah, I think the only way Schoenburg wins this is if he somehow makes it to the end of this race without pitting, which I think is pretty much impossible. But you got to think, though, Evan, if Schoenburg waits, he's going to come back out. He's going to have, you know, a bigger gap. Heck, if he waits until the 34 catches him, that's a 30-second gap. The 34 will catch him maybe in 20 laps or so. That's going to give 30 laps. Schoenburg would have to make up a second a lap. He's not going to do that no matter how fresh the tires are. That's just not possible. I think the 36, if you're 36 right now, you cash in your chips now, you come to pit road because you're going to be ultimately better off than if you stay out, and because you know you're going to have to pit if you stay out.
He's worked his way past a couple of drivers. Bussa now back up into the number 4 position. John Gorlinski behind him in 7th. He's gotten around Tyler Dalton, who is 6th at the moment, and Chuck Sweeting, who is currently 5th on the racetrack behind him. Next up is a two-way battle for 2nd. Matthew Moose next on the menu in 3rd, and then James Wenzel in 2nd. They're about a half a second apart from each other and just 5 seconds in front of Matt Bussa. Even if, though, Schoenburg would be able to go to the end of this race, 2/3 of the way, that time by 50 laps to go. I'm not entirely convinced that Bussa wouldn't catch him anyways. Bussa running right now at about 0.8 of a second faster per lap and doing a good job. Now, I will stand by my statement that I think the 36 does need to head pit side and Matt Bussa's in the best spot, but nonetheless, the 34 I think should be able to get up to at least P2 new issue, closing in that gap straight up to the 36 before I anticipate we see Schoenburg come down pit road. Probably not going to happen, but you'll see a battle for 3rd and 2nd here within 5 laps.
Oh, yeah, and we'll keep an eye on it here as Moose, you know, he's had that damage since kind of the early portion of this race. It doesn't look like it's affecting his car too much, but we know he's been through a little bit of war, a little bit of a bobble there out of the 42. Wenzel there coming out at 2. He's able to hold on to it. But, yeah, Evan, I just got to think, if you're the 36, you got to know the 34 is going to catch you. You got to pit. There's no way you're going to win this thing.
And again, he has to strike the balance. Do I pit now? But that's only 12 laps after Matt Bussa was on pit road. So I only have 12-lap better tires. Do I want 12-lap better tires? Do I want 20-lap better tires? But do I come down pit road, you know, right now with the gap that I have? Or do I wait an extra 8 laps and, you know, after Bussa's been out there for 20 laps, now he's only 10 seconds behind. This is all the stuff that he's got to think about.
Yeah, and, you know, at this point, you still got to worry about where's my corner, where's my entry spot, where's my braking point. So he's got to do all this and think about that. Is the 14 actually going to hit pit road this time? So Moose is going to surrender to Bussa right there. That's going to move the 34 up into 3rd. I got to think Wenzel has got to see the 34 in his mirror. He knows at this point he's only 2 seconds back. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot with him there. I think the 42 will certainly put up a fight nonetheless, but I don't think he's got anything for Bussa at this point.
Matthew Moose pitted at lap number 60, so I think that kind of reiterates that you had to have gone as long as Matt Busa did if you're going to be able to make it all the way through. And I think Busa, Cisco, also the only driver that is trying to do this stint on one stop.
Yeah, I mean, Gorlinski sort of backwards engineered his way onto the strategy, kind of. He's about the closest to the strategy because he doesn't have to come back to pit road either, but he did it by pitting an extra time there and gained time. So right now he's about 12 seconds back of Busa right now and kind of losing a little bit more time to the 34. But Gorlinski, I don't believe, has to come to pit road either. So basically he'll be able to follow in the footsteps of the 34, and assuming Wenzel has to pit, Gorlinski's going to be in a great spot here to grab second.
We don't get to see that exciting three-way battle for second, third, and fourth, but Matt Busa has gotten around James Wenzel easily for position. A 30 now in front of him, David Ankeny, who is just on pit road for service, I believe, because we were talking about him running in second and third not all that long ago. He was on pit road at lap number 89. So about 9 laps ago, we saw David Ankeny down pit side 15 laps ago, and actually to this point, and you're going to see Ankeny 1 lap down. Fresher tires indeed on the inside of the racetrack. 34 machine just better though. On the inside, he's able to get around him. Ankeny is 1 lap down in 7th on track. So now you've got your straight shooter battle. Chris Schoenburg, the race leader, P1. Matt Busa in second. The gap is 13.4 seconds. The difference is Schoenburg's going to have to come down pit road and give up about 35 seconds to pit. Matt Busa is not. I think Schoenburg's got to come down, though, in maybe the next 5 laps if he wants a realistic shot at being able to have enough time to catch back up to Busa. Busa right now running 31 O's the last time by, so that's about a second of fall off. Schoenburg 31.8, so he's losing 0.8 every single time around. I think that this is probably the time you want to start to come down pit road.
Yeah, you want to give yourself enough time. I mean, obviously, the longer you stay out, the worse the tires are going to get for Busa. But keep in mind, we saw Busa do a much better job at saving the tires last run than Schoenburg did. So, I think you gotta give yourself as much time as you can, Evan. I don't think you can wait too much longer.
We'll see if he does. Again, you have to strike a balance between I come down now, and he is going to duck down to the pit lane. Lap 109, the magic number. 41 laps to go, and Chris Schoenburg is headed down pit road. This is going to be the final swig of service that he's going to be able to, or rather needs, to get himself to the end of this race. He'll lead this time by Matt Busa at the start-finish line, still scored a P2, but he will go to the race lead off to turn number 1. Schoenburg into the box, looking for 4 tires.
Yeah, and the right side's going to go up right now, and you got to think, Evan, he's got 40 laps to catch Busa. Is that going to be enough time? Not 2 tires. I didn't think we'd see 2 tires, but it wasn't. I was thinking it wasn't. Maybe if you wanted to try something crazy, you could try it, but he was out there for a full run. That probably would have been a good idea. 36 out of pit road with 4 right now, and the battle's on. He's got to catch him now, and actually the more crucial thing is he's got to get past the 21 first before he can do any of that.
Yeah, he's now going to have to work through traffic. Matt Busa did it rather easily. We kind of talked a little bit earlier on about how important, if at all, the lap traffic was going to be. I don't think getting around cars is going to be the primary concern for Chris Schoenburg, but I do think that he's going to have to get up on the wheel and go. So here's where we sit now. He is 21 seconds behind Matt Busa. The last time by, 55 seconds was his lap around when he came down to the pit lane to get back up to speed, which is about average on what we've been seeing with the guys tonight. He should be able to get up to John Gorlinski and at least get second, no issue, Cisco, but I like the call. Just as we kind of said, Chris Schoenburg, I think now's the time to do it. Not sure if he had an ear in or a whisper in his ear that kind of echoed our thoughts, but it's exactly what he came down pit road. So I was saying that Matt Busa, though, 31.1 the last time by. Chris Schoenburg, 30.1. So he's a second faster. He's got 38 laps to go. He's 20 seconds behind. Now, of course, the 36's tires are going to start to fall off, Cisco, but so are Matt Busa's. Busa's tires are going to continue to get older as the night goes on as well. This 36 may just have a shot at this thing.
He may have a shot at it, but he's got to save those tires. He's got to make sure when he gets to the 34, he can actually do something with them. Or for that matter, I kept bringing it up. The 34 did such a good job saving those tires. He was able to go out for about 20 extra laps and be able to stretch those tires to about what the 36 had fall-off-wise. 36 has got to be careful not to burn those tires off too quickly. If he does that, even if he gets to the 34, he's not going to be able to do anything with him.
4 drivers on the lead lap right now. Look at the 3 wide out of turn number 2. Busa, a part of it all, your race leader. Seeing the 14 go to the inside. The 42 go to the inside. Moose going to come back to the lead lap. Chad Coleman from behind going to come back to the lead lap. All drivers who have gone with the 2-stop call and have just come down pit road for the last time. Inside of about the last 10-15 laps, we've seen about all of these cars down pit road. They've got fresher tires. The 34 just tries to get out of the way, I think, as much as he can, but try to do so without giving up any time. You gotta kind of walk that balance. It's all a game of balancing and juggling. How much time can I afford to give up here to be able to be a little bit safer in this situation? He allows most of those cars to get on by. The 7 of Campbell just back to the lead lap. He now just falls back off of the lead lap in the number 4 position right now. The gap, 16 seconds back to John Gorlinski. There goes the 36 of Chris Sherburne around the 21 Chevrolet and back up to 2nd.
And that means that number at the top, that car behind, that's the gap between Sherburne and Busa, so we'll monitor that for the rest of this run here and the rest of the race. That's going to be ultimately what it comes down to. 35, 34 at the line to go. And for Busa, he lost a little bit of time due to traffic there, but was it enough? I don't think it was. Man, we gotta like get some calculators out and figure this out. Where's Andy's big calculator that he uses on Mondays when we need it?
I think we're in New Hampshire, so he's got the night off. He's eating lobster rolls, so we'll have to get a rain check on his thoughts on this one. The 21 of John Gorlinski does just go down pit road this time to turn 4. 3rd trip down to the pit lane this green flag run.
I was not expecting that, Evan.
I thought off guard.
Yeah, I thought the 21 was good to go to the end there, but apparently not. And Gorlinski just took what I thought was kind of a brilliant run. He was going to finish probably 3rd there. And it all goes out the window for the 21.
He might not have had enough fuel. He last came down pit road at lap 85. And we don't really know, again, an exact number, but Busa approximately went from lap 30 to 90. You got to do the same run to get to 90 to 150. If it's that tight where you can go 60 but not 65, then I think pitting at lap 85 was a miscue for the 21 team.
And that's a tough break. I think if he had waited the extra 5 laps and been able to make it, he probably would have finished up in maybe the top 3 or at least had a top 5 out of that night, but just a tough break for Gorlinski there. Not what he needed, not what he was looking for. But either way, Busa at this point, that kind of takes the 21 out of this. We weren't sure what was going to be the equation with that, but we knew once the 36 got passed, it was going to be between those 2 for the lead. But it's down to those 2 for the lead now, and now Matthew Moose has kind of slid himself back up to 3rd, and that's a little bit of a battle between him and the 42.
James Wenzel has kind of had a quiet night. We've talked a lot more about Matthew Moose than James Wenzel so far tonight, but the 42's got a little bit of a cleaner car. You see some pretty hefty back-end damage on the 14, and a 42 going to challenge to the inside. It's for a step on the podium, and no challenge from Moose. It kind of looked like he moved out of the way and let the 42 go into 3, but then kind of fights back in the center of the quarter. Not going to be enough to challenge back, and James Wenzel, who started P6 tonight, up to 3rd.
It's got to be a weird feeling if you're fighting for 3rd, you look in the mirror, the leader's behind you.
30 laps to go. Next time by, Matt Busa, 14 seconds in front of Chris Sherburne. Busa's last lap was a 31.4. It was a 30.7 for Chris Sherburne. So right now, he's 0.7 seconds each lap faster than Matt Busa. He's got 30 laps to go in this race.
Is that a calculator?
If there's no extra fall off, he's got 21 laps until he catches him, and we just took 30 laps to go.
And that's of course if the fall off stays constant. If Busa is able to delay it a little bit
more. The 36 we know he's going to fall off faster, but Busa's going to fall off probably even a half a second more than what he's doing now. So again, that was the key for Chris Sherburne. Don't pit too early. You had to kind of strike the balance so that you have the upper hand. And there's no magic way to calculate, go 25% way into his run and I'll be better at the end. So the 36 just had to take his best shot in the dark. It'll be tight though. I don't think he makes it. I think he might come up about 4 seconds short. We'll see.
We will see, and ultimately, I think this is going to come down to who's driving the car harder. Has Busa just been cruising out there in the lead? Is Sherburne pushing it to get to Busa? Does he know he has to save a little bit of tire? We don't know. There could be more in the 36. There could be more in the 34. We just don't know.
Two drivers who just hang on to the lead lap are in that battle for third. James Wenzel, Matthew Moose, 29 seconds behind your race leader. They do have fresher tires, though, from Matt Busa, so kind of funny enough that the 34, your race leader, is kind of been able to watch the battle for third for the last couple of laps around by. He's not going to catch back up to them, and in front of them, there's really no traffic till you get to John Gorlinski, a half a lap in front, and he's on fresh tires. So Matt Busa shouldn't have to deal with any lap traffic. Chris Sherburne as well in the number 2 position might be a different story. There's John Wilco, Chad Coleman, Tyler Dalton, Joshua Campbell, David Ankeny, Chuck Sweeting between he and Matt Busa.
And that could potentially throw a huge wrench into this, or it might not. We just don't know. But 25 laps to go. We'll be at the line here, and this add in another variable to that equation you're working on, Evan, because this is getting a whole lot more complicated.
The plot continues to thicken here at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Just 25 laps to go, and all eyes are on the stopwatch. Can Chris Sherburne catch up to Matt Busa this time around? As we see the number 36 Chevrolet cycle at a quarter number 4, the gap is down to 11.1. We'll take this opportunity to step aside one final time. Again, as always, we go LSRTV non-stop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. It's a two-way race for the race win at New Hampshire. You're watching the New England 150 on LSRTV and iRacing Live. We're back live at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway inside of 20 laps to go in the ASCORS ProGeek New England 150. It's the second race of 10 on a 2016 Segment 3 championship for the ASCORS ProGeek Consultant Cup Series at LSRTV and iRacing Live. Tonight's continuing coverage, as always, brought to you by ProGeek Consulting. Since 1998, ProGeek has been providing IT solutions to small and mid-sized businesses in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Their strong work ethic and attention to detail allows them to provide the best solutions for your needs. They specialize in a wide range of solutions that includes infrastructure, networking, servers, storage, virtualization, security, virtual CIO, and IT strategy. You can check them out today at www.progeek.com. Proud title sponsor of the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consulted Cup Series. Close it in on the final 15 laps of competition here tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Evan Pasoko and Cisco Scaramouche, the top side with you. Cisco Matt Busa appears to have been able to weather the storm. Sherburne still closing in, but not at a rate that he needs to be able to catch up in time. Only 4/10 now per lap as he now himself starts to deal with his tires falling away.
And I mean, at this point, you know, it's still not over yet, Evan. We could see something weird happen. We've seen it before.
Caution flag.
Oh, I don't think...
implied.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
We got both sides covered there. So, if we see a caution, that might mix things up. If Busa starts to have more fall off than what we were expecting, that might mix things up. So, by no means is it over. But, right now, if things stay the same, Matt Busa comes home your winner.
Matt Busa is to lose at this point. As I noted, he's got clean air up in front of him. He's into turn number 3. Matthew Moose, James Wenzel coming out of turn 4 aren't going to challenge him. He may have to deal with Chuck Sweetie. Sweetie right now a 31.8 the last time around to Busa's 31.8, so he's not really closing in that much, but Chuck Sweetie does have fresher tires. He would be the only driver that would interact with Busa if he were to get up to him, and it would be coming from behind. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Matt Busa should, though, keep a close eye on his relative and make sure he knows what's going on there. And this is all assuming that Matt Busa can hit that magic marker 60 laps once again. 14 more times around is all he needs, and this that continues through. It would have been, by the time the checkered flag flies, a race-ending 120-lap green flag run.
Yeah, and that's an amazing job by these guys to get through the rest of this race green. We had those first couple cautions. I think that just settled. I think everyone just settled down after that. And at this point, you know, Sherburne probably needs a caution, so he's probably, like I think I said over break, he's probably throwing all the water bottles he's got in the car, anything he can find out on the track to have them throw the yellow. But honestly, the pack is so spaced out right now, I'm just going to tab through just to take a look. Oh, no, Coleman! Wow, and Coleman nearly just took the road course right there as he came out of turn 2, so just so I say that, I nearly jinxed it. Not this time, though. But the pack seems pretty spaced out.
Because you knocked on your desk, that's why.
Oh, yeah.
Base is covered.
Well, yeah.
Turn 2, though, we saw that happen at least twice. It brought out a caution earlier. It also was in a situation where we saw a couple of guys spin out of turn 2. Didn't lead to a yellow. But I think if you had to ask any drivers which corner is treacherous, they'd say turn 2. So not surprised to see that happen to Coleman down at that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, and keep in mind, these guys are going to have old tires towards the end of this thing. If one of them spins out, it might not, you know, it just might be a product of the old tires. It may not come down to, you know, drivers being near each other. It could be just a mistake or something like that. But either way, we'll have to see. 12 to go at the line.
So close to the end, Matt Busa just wants this one to continue to run its course. Chris Sherburne, though, within 6.5 seconds. I said that he might come up about 4 seconds short. Well, he's starting to threaten to get inside of that window. Still working right now to 0.4 of a second better every single time around the racetrack is what he's looking at now. But with 11 laps to go at a 6.5 second deficit, he looks like he'd come up at about 2.5 seconds short if that continues to hold true. So, when we take 10 laps to go the next time by, as always, do want to remind you, there's no overtime. There's no green-white checkers in the iRacing service. A caution inside of 5 laps to go ends this race. If we see one between now and 5 laps to go, which is going to be in the next 2 minutes and 30 seconds, then Chris Sherburne has a legitimate opportunity to win this race. But if Matt Busa is mistake-free, it's his.
Yeah, and we'll take a ride on board with the 36 here, see what kind of lap time he gets. And right now, you said he was going to catch that 26. We thought the 26 was going to catch the leader. It's actually going to go the opposite way. Sherburne's going to get to him first. And that might be the nail in the coffin. If he can't get by the 26, that could be all she wrote.
Just a couple of times around for Matt Busa. Counted it off lap by lap by lap, 141. Laps now complete here tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We talked about the results from Chicagoland. As of 1 week ago, Chris Schoenburg went to victory lane. Matt Busa came home 5th spot. Give a shout out to Randall Fox, John Gorlinski, Chuck Sweeting, who came home 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in that race. But it was 1 week ago where Chris Schoenburg started on pole and won, and it was Matt Busa who started in the number 2 position to come home 5th. Well, they flip-flopped where they qualified tonight. This time Busa got the pole, and Schoenburg ended up in the number 2 spot. Matt Busa, second time in a row. Looks like we'll see the race winner be the driver who qualified on pole position. But Schoenburg's P2 tonight, better than Matt Busa's P5 1 week ago. So you'd think that 36 machine still would have an upper hand between those two in the Segment 3 championship. We could be seeing what might turn out to be a 2-horse race for this Segment 3 championship. And if they continue to do this every single week, it'll be a fun fight for the next 8 races.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to come down here 7 to go at the line. Yep, 7 crosses over right there. So at this point, Busa's just got to make it home. All he has to do is basically wait about 2 or 3 laps, and then from there, it's probably going to be over. I mean, white flag, obviously, anything can happen there, but apart from that, he just has to wait until we hit that caution period. I just think the 36 is too far back.
Not going to get there in time. Down to 4.2 seconds. 6 laps to go this time by. Chris Schoenburg needs something. And he really doesn't set to gain anything by overdriving that car. It kind of makes him angry, Cisco, because if he was going to end this race a couple of tenths short, 5, 6 tenths, he can maybe feel that if he drives the car harder, he's got a shot. Driving the car harder, you're not going to make up the amount of time that he needs to in said period of time. There's no point of putting yourself in the wall. All he can hope on at this point, again, is some sort of an issue for the 34 team.
Yeah, and, you know, that could come just overdrive the corner once. Busa might miss his braking point or something. Anything can happen here, but 5 laps to go here. He's run out of time.
5 laps to go, the magic number that Matt Busa wanted to see. The last time, Matt Busa ran a 32.0 to a 31.4 for Chris Schoenburg. He was 6 tenths of a second better. If he can keep that up, he would make up 3 seconds in the next 5 laps. But again, this is a case where it's a 150-lap race, and it was 155. Chris Schoenburg might have an opportunity to win the race, but he might just be a little bit shy. Matt Busa scrapes the outside fence once again as he goes back down to turn 1, making the racetrack as wide as he can, 2.9 seconds in front.
Yeah, and at this point, you got to think if you're the 36, I think he's given it all he can. I mean, we saw him sawing away there on the in-car shot right there. We'll cut back to that. And you can see the gap close. It's going to be close, but I just don't think it's going to be enough.
3 laps to go this time by. 147 down, 148, 49, and 50 still to go. The gap going to go from 2.9 seconds to 2.5. Chris Schoenburg, 3 laps left to get the job done. He needs about a second per lap.
I just don't think he's going to be able to get that without something happening to the 34, but the 34 should be able to make it from here. So it's going to come down to these last couple laps. Will there be a mistake out of either driver that could seal it? For either one, 2 seconds probably going to be the gap at the line here as he comes 2 to go for Busa.
Pops took a 6 in the air for the driver of the 34. Started on pole position tonight, and the one-stop strategy looks to be just a little bit better than the 2-stop. 2.1 seconds between the top 2 drivers on the racetrack. This time down the back, 1.5 miles to go.
And at this point, Busa is in cruise control. That's all he needs to do. Don't make a mistake. Don't throw away the race. He got 1 lap to do it in. Schoenburg's closing, but it's just not enough time.
White flag in the air for Matt Busa, and we have talked and we've had plenty of time. In fact, we've had 130 laps as the white flag flies to talk about this strategy. And while we were confident that Matt Busa, I think, was going to be the one who makes the right call, it's kind of amazing that after 130 laps, 2 completely different strategies. Matt Busa on 1 stop, Chris Schoenburg on 2, is going to have the checkered flag fly amongst them with less than half a second in between. It doesn't matter, though, because that's all the 34 needed. Final time at a quarter number 4. Matt Busa off the final corner. He'll take the checkered flag and win the New England 150. Schoenburg comes home 1.409 seconds short and comes home second tonight from New Hampshire.
And that's a tough break for the 36. Such a great run throughout the whole race. Maybe if he, who knows? At this point, it's going to be a bunch of what ifs until they hit next week. What if I could have pitted earlier, Evan? Would that have changed
5 laps earlier, 5 laps later? It's the questions that would be going through his head. I think he pitted at the right time. I just think that the 2-stop strategy wasn't the right one tonight.
Yep, and the 34 just did a masterful job of saving those tires. I think if it had been maybe anyone else, I don't know if any other driver could have saved that much in this field tonight as Busa did. Just an amazing job by the 34. And he's shown he had speed at the beginning of the season, and he's shown his speed at the end of the season.
Good stuff for those guys. The 36 comes down pit road. John Gorlinski gives him a tap to the back bumper where he wanted to be. Is with that 34, Matt Busa is parked on the front straightaway and celebrating. Busa, your winner tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, picks up the win in the New England 150. It adds to a resume that, well, seen him in victory lane many times this year. Pocono included in that. Darlington, and here tonight from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Not the only short track, per se, that he's won at tonight, or this season. He's also won at Richmond. And didn't we call this place to Martinsville on steroids? Because he won at Martinsville early in the year, too.
I guess he likes these kind of flattish tracks. Not really as big of a fan of the cookie cutters as someone like a Ray Alfala. But all these kind of flat tracks, and then you throw in Pocono. I'd say Pocono is a pretty flat track. And once again, Busa won there. So Busa showing his dominance here on these, flatter, less banking tracks, and does it again here tonight.
Matt Busa, your winner tonight. We'll go trackside and talk with him in just a moment as the LSRTV post-race show rolls on. Live from Loudon, New Hampshire, you're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consulted Cup Series. More still to come from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway on the other side on iRacing Live.
The straights are unbelievably long. The first time you come here, everyone tells you, you'll be flat out 6th gear for 20 seconds. First time I was here, I lifted halfway down the straight. I didn't believe that it was still going. I was waiting to brake, and I was back on the power. And the Porsche curves are extremely fast and extremely narrow, so it's a tricky track, and every year I've come here, you learn something new every time.
Le Mans is so fast. Wherever you accelerate, you are over 150 miles per hour. Going there, I realized everything you have done before was nothing.
Let's take it from the top.
Okay, cool. I've got this time. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget that the next round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com. Sorry, I keep on messing that one up. Why are you changing name all the time?
Just do it one more time. Do it one more time.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the next round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing, will take place on Tuesday from 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Catch it on iRacing Live. Join Evan and the gang for what will hopefully be another fantastic race. Some of the best sim racing you'll ever see on the internet. Better?
Good, perfect.
Cool.
Nice.
We're back live from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the LSRTV post-race show. The second race of 10 on the ASCORS ProGeek Cup Series Segment 3 Championship is now behind us. Matt Busa gets his trip to victory lane. He and Chris Schubert have sat on the front row in both the races so far this segment, and they both now have one trip to victory lane. We'll talk with the 34 in just a moment. First, let's take a look at tonight's full race results presented by ProGeek. Matt Busa gets the job done. The one-stop strategy was just 1.4 seconds better than the two-stop strategy, but it's good enough to get him the win. Chris Schubert comes home second, and James Wenzel wins that battle for third. 25 seconds behind your race leaders. We'll be trackside with those three in just a moment. Matthew is the final driver to come home on the lead lap tonight, comes home P4. A handful of drivers, one lap down, 5th all the way through 10th position. Come home one lap off of the lead lap. That's John Gorlinski, Chuck Sweeting, Tyler Dalton, David Ankeny, Joshua Campbell, and Chad Coleman.
And then rounding out the rest of your field, John Wilco in 11th. 12th going to go to Randall Fox, Cody Welker, EJ O'Rourke, and JD Laird with the DNQ, as well as Alex Bergeron.
Look top to bottom at your ProGeek full race results. We now go trackside with Matt Busa. Winner tonight for the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Matt, congrats to you guys. That was a head-to-head battle with you and Chris Schubert, and it's kind of funny because, while it was a two-horse race, I think for very much the biggest part of this race, you guys go nearly at the end at 120 laps green flag racing. For the majority of that, you guys were nowhere near each other. You go with the one-stop call, he goes with the two-stop call, you end up on top. Talk us through that idea.
Yeah, it was a pretty calm and relaxed race for most of it. I think we only had like the 3 or 4 cautions at the beginning, and then a long run. With the different strategies, we were really never racing each other on track, like you said, so just had to kind of manage your own pace and not wear the tires out a lot at the beginning, but also make sure you keep up a fast enough pace. And it was pretty cool to see the exact same strategies as last week when I chose to do the one-stop and he did two-stop, and I think both times the two-stop was quicker, because I had about a 2.5 second lead, I believe, when he first made his pit stop, and at the end there he caught me down to about 1 second. So luckily it worked out in my favor this week, but it was definitely close.
Those cautions early showed us that I think everybody really wanted 4 tires, and I think at one point you took them 4. You kind of dropped back to 5th on the restart, and then outside of that, as you noted, things then kind of fell into a rhythm. We went green for a lot of the way. With you guys stretching the fuel, obviously, we saw a couple of other drivers at least appear to do it. We saw Gorlinski pit at lap number 85. He didn't have enough fuel to be able to make it to the end, ended up having to pit one additional time. Your final stop was at 90. Just how tight were you guys on fuel, and when did you kind of realize that that was going to be the idea to go with?
Yeah, the second we went green around lap 30, I believe, I knew right away I was going to make it a one-stop race, and I didn't realize, but I accidentally took only like 16 gallons total of fuel at lap 30, so on lap like 84 or something, my crew chief said you got 5 laps of fuel left, and I was like, oh, damn, because I was planning on putting in lap 95 or 100 to make it even. But so I stretched out the fuel by 1 lap, saved a little in those last 5 laps of the first run, and pitted in lap 90, and I think that made it so then I was back even, 60 laps each.
Just going to be 2 days' time, and you get to hop back in the car at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It's going to be 150 laps as well on Tuesday night. Was tonight kind of a test session for you guys, kind of messing around to see what the car can do on those fuel numbers?
Yeah, it was good practice for that, as well as having the nice long runs here. I got to see how the track kind of changed a little, and the second lane came in pretty well. I'm not sure if it's because the fixed setup was tight in the center, but I'm definitely going to try to use that second lane on Tuesday if we get any long runs, hopefully.
The strategy that you guys decided to go with tonight works out when it's all said and done, and luckily we didn't see a caution flag during that whole cycle. It was kind of nice to be able to see over that 120-lap period how that strategy played all the way through, and your strategy ended up 1.4 seconds better. So you're back at victory lane tonight, Matt. The sponsors, the shout-outs. Who makes it happen?
Yep, thanks to Gale Force Racing and working with NX this week to get some pace going at New Hampshire for Tuesday, as well as the Blancpain World Championship Series. We have Imola coming up, I believe, next weekend. Still have to buy the track, but I think it's next weekend. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting, and Schoenburg and everyone who puts up the league. It's a lot of fun. I hope we can keep doing it for the rest of the season.
The fun race tonight as well, Matt. Again, congratulations. It's good to see you guys in at 34 back at victory lane. Chris beat you out for pole last week. You beat him out this week, so we look forward to seeing what happens next Sunday.
Yep, thank you.
Winner tonight from New Hampshire, Matt Busa. Chris Sherburne, P2, 1.4 seconds back. James Wenzel, third, 25.0 seconds back. Round through the top three tonight. Trackside with both of them is Cisco, first with the driver of the 36 machine.
Yeah, I'm down here on pit road with the 36 of Chris Sherburne. The other side of that fuel strategy battle we had, Chris, you were so close there, bud. It just came up a little bit short for you. Talk us through the race.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting, kind of seeing how that was going to play out. I think I was actually on the fastest strategy. I just think Matt was a little bit too fast for me. I don't think if we were on the same strategy, I don't think I would have finished that close to him anyway. But it was pretty cool how it played out. I think maybe a little bit better pit stop. I was kind of a little bit shaky getting in my pit stall and probably didn't execute the pitting a little bit as good as I should have.
Well, obviously, I'll pose the EA Sports Lightning Challenge to you. 5 extra laps. You get to the 34. Could you have gotten past him?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I was 4 or 5 tenths a lap faster than he was there at the end. I don't think it would have been too hard to get around him, even the way the track is. It's just a matter of getting there. Like I said, I think my strategy was a little bit faster, even though it didn't play out that way. But I got to work on being a little bit more consistent, and maybe pitting a little bit better. And I think it would have been another win there. But good job to Matt. Congrats to him for a good race. He ran me clean, and it was fun battling with him.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys had a super long green flag run there. The last 130 laps, I believe, was all green. But we're kind of seeing a battle between you and Busa form here for the championship as well. Obviously, you got the win. Busa finished 5th last week. Now Busa wins. You finish 2nd. You got him. You're ahead of him so far. What's the strategy? Are you basically racing that 34, or are you just showing up week after week trying to beat who you can?
Yeah, I'm not point chasing at all. I'm definitely just showing up and just trying to do the best I can. I'm still working on being a little more consistent and kind of cleaning up some of the other things like restarts and pitting, and hopefully be a little bit more solid during these races.
Well, I'll let you go here. Second finisher tonight, Chris. Who gets it done for you in the 36 team?
Last couple weeks, just been me. Usually Brad Davies helps me out, but he's been MIA for the last couple weeks, so it's just been me and Gorlinski hanging out in TeamSpeak, working together a little bit. He tried a different strategy and it didn't pay out, and I stuck to the 2-stop there, and that, like I said, I think that was the way to go, but just came up a little bit short.
Absolutely. Well, interesting strategies out of your camp nonetheless. Chris, congratulations on the 2nd place finish. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
Well, that's Chris Sherburne. He finished 2nd there, and I'm also going to jump down pit road a little bit further and talk to the 42 of James Wenzel, who had a great run here. We caught up. There we go. We got him now on the mic. But, James, you finished 3rd here tonight. You come out on top of that battle you had with Matthew Moose. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race for us. We qualified 6th after not getting a whole lot of practice time tonight due to some problems. We kind of had a bad pit stop a little bit in there, and then that long green flag run was great. It allowed us to just sort things out, and we had a pretty good car, so I could get into a strategy, get a nice rhythm going, and had a great battle with Matthew.
Yeah, absolutely. You had a great run there. How is it, as far as strategy goes? Obviously, we had the story of the top 2, kind of dual strategy there. What were you thinking? You know, obviously you had to come down for the 2 stops there. what was kind of the mindset once you got back going green? Do you think you could have made it one stop, or what was the plan?
Yeah, I probably could have gone one stop. As I got towards the end of that first run there, I kind of burnt my right rear tire off a little bit, so I knew I was going to have to do 2 just because I didn't think my tires were good enough to make the one stop. Matt definitely did a good call with realizing that the one stop would have been quicker, and he did a great job making that work.
Absolutely. Well, you finished 3rd here tonight. Sponsor shout-outs. Who gets it done for you in the 42 team?
I want to thank everyone at No Excuses Racing and my sponsor, Maloney McBroom. They specialize in engineering, planning, landscape architecture, and environmental science.
All right. Well, that's James Wenzel. He finishes 3rd here tonight. See you next week.
Thank you.
All right, Evan, well, I'll send it back up to you in the booth, but we're starting to see the battle, one versus the other, Sherburne versus Busa, and this is going to be interesting last couple of weeks of the season.
Yeah, it's starting to ramp up, but again, hopefully we see these next 8 races and continue to see the battle between Busa and Schoenburg. Again, I think Schoenburg outside of tonight still going to be just a little bit better. When you look at the points, Busa's best finish to 1st, but his worst to 5th. Schoenburg best finish to P1, but a P2 is his worst. So he's got a 1.5 average finish. I think Busa's is a 3. The way that math works. So it'll be fun. And we go forward. Yeah, talking about unique racetracks earlier. I didn't even use the calculator on that one. New Hampshire, we talked about this racetrack obviously having its unique characteristics, but I kind of alluded to earlier in this race here tonight what we would also see in 1 week's time, and that's Dover for the Delaware 200. You want to talk about a unique racetrack, that one is guaranteed to bring excited racing. And tonight when we got spread out, tons of room for these guys to use. Not quite at that track.
Yeah, and we'll have to see who Miles is going to pick on next week and see who the track's going to bite, because there's always someone who just doesn't have a good time at Dover, and like I said, we'll have to see who Miles is going to eat that week.
We hope to see you that Sunday, October the 2nd, here on LSRTV at iRacing Live as our coverage of the 2016 ASCORS ProGeek Consultative Cup Series continues. You can find a full outlook on our upcoming broadcast schedule on our website at livesimracing.com. You can also follow us on social media to stay up to date with everything in and around iRacing, and as well get up-to-the-date information on when you can find us back here on the iRacing Live portal. Our Facebook pages can be found at facebook.com/live sim racing TV. As well, make sure to give us a like on Twitter at LSRTV. You can find every single live LSRTV broadcast right here on LSRTV at youtube.com/C/LSRTV. Until next time, on behalf of everybody on the team, though, at Live Sim Racing TV, as well as all the folks at all the other broadcasts here week in and week out, but for the broadcast team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, for the lovely and talented Cisco Scaramuza, pushing the buttons and chat with me as the night went on, I want to thank you so much for tuning in and congratulate Matt Busa. He's back at ASCORS Victory Lane, and he's got a win on Segment 3. It's going to be a 2-horse race through Segment 3. We hope to see you in 1 week's time when we drop the green flag once again. We'll see you at Dover. Good night.
This copyrighted broadcast is presented under the authority of LSRTV LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations and may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form, nor the accounts and descriptions of this event disseminated in any way without the express written permission of Live Sim Racing TV. LSRTV would like to thank its loyal fans for their continued support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.